He's Chris Mannix, covers the Association for Sports Illustrated. He joins us on the Dan Patrick Show. Poll question, McLovin. Give it to Mannix. See what he thinks.
Why are the Lakers struggling? Are they too old? Is it Mike D'Antoni? Is it Dwight Howard? Is it not getting Phil Jackson? Or is it how Kobe handles his teammates?
No, it's Mike D'Antoni. I mean, to me, that's the biggest and most overwhelming reason the Lakers are where they are right now. I mean, all the things you mentioned in that poll question are legitimate. I mean, the defense stinks. The bench is terrible. Kobe shoots too much right now. But Mike D'Antoni is not maximizing the talent he has on this roster. I mean, I watched that Bulls game last night, Dan, and seeing Pau Gasol come off the bench and hearing Mike D'Antoni say it's unlikely that he and Dwight will play much, if at all, together, I just slapped my forehead. I mean, it's like that's just the most ridiculous thing, a ridiculous coaching decision that I've seen this season. I mean, obviously, Dwight and Pau are having some issues playing together, but you do not take a all-star, all-NBA level power forward in Pau Gasol out of that lineup because you can't make it work. I mean, this is the stubbornness, Dan, of Mike D'Antoni. He simply won't accept the fact that his offense doesn't work with this team and won't change it. When the reality is this team should be playing a measured, slow-down, paced kind of game where they dump the ball into the post 60 to 70% of the time and they play off their big men. They're not doing that right now, and I think that more than anything is costing the Lakers.
All right, so as we move forward here, is it time to start thinking about next year?
Well, you can think about next year, but they're not trading Dwight Howard. I mean, that would be the ultimate knee-jerk reaction because at the end of the day, they know Dwight's probably not going anywhere. I mean, there's a difference about $25 million that Dwight can make with the Lakers. There's the fact that they are the Lakers, and they are still one of the most marquee franchises. And if you look around the league, Dan, where else is Dwight going to go? I mean, is Dallas better positioned to win a championship before the Lakers? Dirk Nowitzki is at the tail end of his career. Are the Atlanta Hawks a contending team with Dwight Howard on it? I don't see that either. I mean, I think at the end of the day, they know that Dwight Howard is probably going to want to come back, and Dwight is still, 26, 27 years old, and in the prime of his career. I mean, I think a lot of the problems Dwight Howard is having right now is with his back. I mean, I don't see the same type of player that I saw the last couple of years in Orlando and Dwight Howard this season. I think his back injury is causing him serious problems, and you can't run the risk by dealing Dwight Howard that next year he becomes the Dwight Howard of old and starts averaging 25 and 12 and leads a team deep into the playoffs. Well, I don't think you can do that.
Well, I'm not saying trade Dwight Howard. And we had Steph Curry on a couple of weeks ago, and he said he's a different player because of that back surgery. It comes down to what can you get for somebody if you know that you're not going to do anything this year and even make the 8th seed. It comes down to Pau Gasol.
Well, you're going to get nickels on the dollar for him right now, Dan. I mean, you're really not going to get anything. You could get Derrick Williams from Minnesota, probably. You might be able to get Andrea Bargnani from Toronto, probably. Jeff Green from Boston, I think you might be able to get him. But beyond that, you're not getting a whole heck of a lot. And the Lakers have made it clear in conversations with other teams they're not looking to take on major salary in return. And Dwight Howard makes $19 million this year and $19.3 million next year. And when you're talking about new tax rules and the fact these luxury tax penalties have become so punitive that even the richest of owners are not going to want to take a chance on having to pay them, Pau Gasol becomes that much more unappealing to the majority of teams in the NBA. I'm telling you, Dan, the best move the Lakers can make right now is call Mike D'Antoni into a meeting, sit him down with Mitch Kupchak, and say, Mike, change the system. Stop trying to run with guys that are practically 40. Stop going up and down the floor with these guys. Slow the game down and reduce the number of shots both teams are taking. I mean, you have to make this, these 90 to 85 type of slugfest. Forget 110 points. 110 points is ridiculous with this team. It's utterly absurd to try to put up those kind of numbers with this team. You have to slow the game down and run the ball through Dwight and Pau. Like, look, everybody's saying that Pau Gasol can't work with the big. Where were they in 08 and 09 when they were winning a championship, 2 championships, with Pau and Andrew Bynum? I mean, I know they had Lamar Odom there to balance things out a little bit, but a lot of times Pau Gasol and Andrew Bynum were on the floor. And if it worked with them, there's no reason it can't work with Pau and Dwight Howard.
Take a deep breath.
A little frustrated watching that game last night, Dan. Again, slapping my forehead.
Okay. Would Mike Brown be a better coach for this team?
I think Mike Brown's system minus the Princeton offense,
yes.
One way or the other, the Princeton offense should have been scuttled. That should have been gone, regardless of whether Mike Brown stayed or he didn't. But I think Mike Brown's system would have been better because he would have emphasized the post. He would have played a lot of isolation basketball, which would have been maddening in its own right. But if you play through the post, you're going to slow the game down. The fact is you're going to make defensive errors that much fewer because you won't have so many possessions. I think his offense would have been better, and I think overall he would have been better.
Talking to Chris Mannix from Sports Illustrated, covers the association for the magazine, also the website. Joining us, Dan Patrick Show. Any trades to expect before February 21st?
You know, we had a trade today, a minor trade. Maury Spates, Josh Selby, and Wayne Ellington went to Cleveland. That was a salary dump by the Memphis Grizzlies. We heard for a while, Dan, that Memphis was looking to trade Rudy Gay or trade Zach Randolph to get under the tax threshold. This is a much better deal for them in the sense that it does get them under the tax threshold by moving about $4 or $5 million in the direction of Cleveland. So it gets them under that tax threshold for next year. So they won't be making a big deal with Gay or with Zach Randolph now. So I think that removes any of the big deals. I mean, we saw Anderson Varejao, Dan, is now out for the season. He was the other big name on the market. In conversation with GMs, the overwhelming thing I keep hearing is that we'll hear a lot of chatter, but we won't be seeing a major move.
You know what? Let me see if your phone can clear up. I think you yelled so loud that you may have broken your phone there. Chris Mannix getting a little bit excited there. You back with us, Chris?
I'm back with you. That was a hotel line, too. That was a little weird.
Okay. So we may have a trade, but it'll be salary dumps, but nothing big.
I don't see a major deal. I mean, again, Anderson Varejao was the big name that we heard about for the last couple of weeks. Cleveland was looking to deal him to create some room for Tyler Zeller and the other bigs, the young bigs they have on their roster. But now that he's done for the year, I don't see a major deal. I mean, Josh Smith is unhappy in Atlanta, but he's not exactly a difference maker where he could go, whether it be Dallas or somewhere else. So he's the most likely name, Josh Smith, but he's not a big difference maker.
Sacramento Kings to Seattle, signed, sealed, delivered. They start in Seattle next year?
Yeah, I mean, Dan, everything I heard weeks ago was that this was a done deal. Now, all the stories that you heard over the last couple of weeks about the moves Sacramento is making to try to make a team or make an offer or find a way to keep their team in Sacramento, that was mostly, I felt, wishful reporting on the part of the people that were out there reporting it, because Sacramento, I don't think, ever had a chance of keeping that team once that deal was made with the Seattle group, because the Seattle group has all the positive pieces in place for this move. I mean, they've got the financing, obviously, with that Ballmer-Hanson group. They're going to have a brand-new arena in Seattle within the next 2 or 3 years, which is what the NBA wanted all along. I mean, go back to 2008. They didn't want to take that team out of Seattle. It was the fact they couldn't get an arena built that forced the issue. And now they have a plan to put a new arena in place, a $500 million-plus arena in place. This deal I think it's going to be done and overwhelmingly approved by the Board of Governors.
Final 30 seconds, Derrick Rose timetable, and what will that mean bigger picture come playoff time?
You know, Tom Thibodeau said yesterday he's close to doing contact drills. I spoke to a source close to Derrick Rose late last night that agreed that he's going to be cleared for contact within the next couple of days probably and be back shortly after the All-Star break. Whether that's a week or 2 or 3 weeks, it's unclear yet, but very soon after the All-Star break, Derrick Rose will be back in the lineup.
Great stuff.
All right, Dan.
Take a deep breath. Relax.
Yeah, you know.
I like it. I love the passion. Thank you, Chris.
You got it.
That's Chris Mannix, Sports Illustrated.